Disclaimer: the information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GANs processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
One of the things to consider when we speak about going to space is what do we define the space as? And what do we see or what we consider as a space? We take a space in our physical body on this planet, and at the same time, within the structure of our physical body, there is another dimension of life which we call the soul of the man. And even though it lives within the space dimensions of the body of the man, has its own life and has its own line of communication. And what we define space, going to space, we already know the inner sanctum or the creator of our physicality travels the depth of the universe, has been the space travel all the time, has a line of communication with other parts of us, be it through dream we call it, or through subconscious, some people they call it, or we have the choice that physically move the physicality with its soul. In a way, we have a bird caged in the physicality of the body of man, and that bird is called the soul of the man. We can open that cage and let it loose at the point of death. When the operation of this cage rots away, and it cannot hold together, and this beautiful bird becomes free. Still, it takes life in the universal dimension, because it has a life. It exists on its own. Or we can carry the cage in a box and take it anywhere. I can take a bird cage in the car, I can take a bird cage in my hand and walk around the park. It doesn't change the entity and existence of that bird. It's still a bird, still sings, still communicates with other birds in the park. And this is how our soul is. So we give option. Those who understand the process of the creation can take that cage, that bird, out of the cage and free it, because we trusted it come back in. It's very much when you have a parrot at home, you open the door, you let him fly around the house, and he comes back again and he goes in the cage. Because you trust it. It knows that's where it belongs to. And this is the process that we have made an option to man. The soul of the man is that bird, but is encaged in physicality of body of man. And for the first time, man knows, man can see that it's him who hasn't trusted the bird to be freed. And it has come the time that he does not need to see the cage to break up, to rust, that the bird can fly out, or by accident open the cage's door is open and the bird flies out. That accident is when we die on the street. The bird cage opens up. That bird still gets freed. But now we are teaching how the man has control over this door of the cage. And he trusts that the soul will come back to the body. Or the bird will stay, that it can create that atmosphere of the home, the cage. This is the problem we have, and this is what we call it different ways of traveling. But to be able to free that bird without accident, or when the cage cracks, rust, and we call it death, we are teaching how to be able to control, to trust that that bird, when we release it, can come home, or can make a home that we can go to. When my children were young, 4 or 5 years old, they wanted a bird, a cockatoo. I bought them a cockatoo. And this bird in the cage was very young, few weeks old when we got him. And we used to let it free in the house. He knew he goes back in and he sleeps there and he lays egg there. And it came to the point, because of the diseases carried, we had to, the doctors told us, this bird cannot stay in the house because it's causing problem in the house, health problems. So we decided that we loved the bird. We didn't want to let it go, it was part of us. So we decided, if we let it free, it will die, because he didn't know how to look after himself, because he was hand-fed. We decided we'd take him to a sanctuary, and we give it to a sanctuary to be kept. We carried the cage across a park, and as we were walking to go to the sanctuary in the park to be given to them, an old lady saw us. She says, "Oh, what a beautiful bird." We said, "We have a problem, we love him, but if you leave him here, we don't know if you see him." She says, "I'll look after it, give it to me. You can come and see it anytime you like." And it was just like a gift. So we got the old lady in the car, we went to her house, we put the cage there, we showed them how to look after the bird, and the bird was free again in the room. And every now and then, children said, "Papa, can we go and see him?" So we called the lady, we go and see him, and the bird is there. And it was a new home, it was our home. And this is how the soul of the man should be. Is trusting that where he goes, he can make a home for us. So in this process, we are teaching different ways of freeing the bird, or carrying the cage. The bird is still there. If you want to carry a cage and go somewhere, you get in the car. That's your spaceship. Still the cage is there and the bird inside. The cage is the body of the man and the bird is the soul of the man. Because we haven't trusted that we get the bird back. We carry the cage in the spaceship. Or there is another line of teaching, which is the understanding the structure of the cage, that you can make the cage not to rot, that then you freeze the bird, but it can open up and you can carry the bird is free, you don't need to fuel it, you don't need to do anything, it travels the space of the room, the space of the garden, the space of the city, and it comes back home again. In a way, when we teach about the soul of the man, is in getting the man to trust himself. And to trust himself, he has to become detached. Has to come detached from physicality, detached from the wealth, detached from everything else. That the wealth is within me, not belonging to me. And this is where every man makes a mistake. In many of the teachings I have referred, if you understand that you can put the soul of the man to act with the soul of physicality of the man, you can make anything you like. The soul of the man is the sun, and the soul of physicality in the palm of the hand of the man is the earth. You move it in the direction, you create water, you create food, but you don't need to have it. It creates the energy that the physicality of the man can absorb. We give the earth in the hand, in the palm of the man. He creates what he needs, he takes what he needs from it. Then, if you understand this, you allow the soul of the man to carry the soul of the physicality of the man with it, and whenever it comes, it makes that hand, that palm, 1,000 meter, 1 meter, in a cage of physicality or in a cage of non-dimension. So, it's not methods of flight, it's the method of man understanding his own potential, his own grace. So, because we have so many people who are so physically attached, we teach about the spaceship for years. This is what it was. They still wanted to see they can get into something. But, as I said, I teach for the universe, not for the man. What we teach in the dimension of soul of the man, many travelers of the universe which hear the soul of me are educated, they understand what they missed. But as this is the last time we bring a messenger on earth, we teach everything for mankind to carry. All the rules are in the book. There shall be no more messages. It's for man to translate knowledge. Scientifically, and then through the understanding of the soul of the man. What we call theology, ethics. Ethics of using the science in a way that does not harm no one, but it implies and applies the survival of the others. I was talking about this a few days ago, that there is a paper written by me, the station of the scientist as a prophet. The prophets we call Muhammad, Christ or anybody, are for the soul of the man, conduct of the behavior. Scientists like beautiful Tesla and others are to elevate the same, but the physicality of the man. This time we have put the two together in one go, then there is no difference. We teach the ethics, the soul conduct and physicality. It's for the man to understand where the two merge and when it's needed to be done. the totality which counts, not the individuality. What you can serve counts, not what serves you. So in this way, if you are physical, we have given you the spaceship, all these reactors. If you have moved in the dimension of understanding part of it, you have the dynamic system, you get some energies, you put a glass of water, you mix the energy and something else together, you're still the camel bird. You put the orange, take the energy, but you still want that the physicality that you're doing something with it, you drink the water. And for the soul of those who understand the totality, then they don't need the cage. They're the free bird. And this is the essence of all the teaching. It's not different ways of flight, is understanding the existence of the universe. Then if you travel with a spaceship, who do you see? The citizens of the universe in a physical dimension. If you travel with the soul that you can create the physicality, you take that out of the equation. You travel, but you know you have connection with everybody. It's very much, as I said once, it's like you get off out of London and you go to New York. You're there on your own, but you still pick your phone and speak to the family in London. It's not finished. Now, the soul of the man, given the man the same opportunity. We teach for the time to come. And we teach from now till that time to come. And that time comes, is not anymore the end of the world, something will happen. It's the maturity of the one's understanding of his own creation.
Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to the 443rd Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on July 28th, 2022. This is also the Energy Blueprint Day, Part 3, and we're calling it A Revolution in Energy Supply. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond. I'll be host today. And of course, we are hosting Mr. Mehran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation. And let me just zero in on him for you here. I think we have it there. Hello, Mr. Keshe. We've got your image now and are ready to go.
Good morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers of the Keshe Foundation, Spaceship Institute around the world, and in how we openly share knowledge and show the development of it. That you don't need to wait for patterns to be created and things to be hidden. The way the Keshe Foundation as a Spaceship Institute works is be preparing the whole mankind. It's for you and to gather the knowledge to become the passenger of the universe, as was in the intro. The choice is yours. Now we understand the process of the travel. If you travel with the dimension of the energy, what we call inner sanction of the man, the soul of the man, you go through a system that you don't need food, you don't need energies, you don't need light or heat. The soul of the man maintains its existence through the work of the universe. We don't see a blanket on the sun to keep it warm, and we don't see a cooling system on it to keep it cool on the other side. It generates heat, it maintains a constant heat, and we don't see anybody serving food to the sun or the earth. So if we travel with the soul of the man, with the dimension of energy of the man, that now we understand more of, we use different systems. If we travel and live in a dimension of physicality of the man, we need to meet the demands of the man in that dimension. He needs food, he needs energy, he needs light, he needs all sorts of things, medication and medicine, and all sorts of mental and psychological pressures. Today's teaching is more or less, at the beginning, some good news about the first way, how the process of the space technology is developing, as you know, and we are carrying out. And then we go to what we call the energy unit. In the dimension of the energy of the man, what you call the soul, the energy which we hold within, and we see the interaction of the physicality of the man, energy side, some people call it the aura of the man, how we can extend the soul of the man to cover the physicality, and how we can control it. Then you learn and you control it. We had interesting cases, as you know. We've been test flying flight simulation in the past weeks. And yesterday was a huge step for this process. On Tuesday, we introduced more or less 2 working units for the flight system, which has been developed and changed in the past few weeks to be ready for transmutation of the man. When you travel, you carry the physicality of the man. You have to go to the airport, you have to get in the car, you have to get a rocket to get in to go from A to B to carry the mass, the weight. When you transmute, which means you put the body of the man instead of putting it in a car, instead of putting it in a plane, you extend the physicality to be where it is, but you extend the energy, the soul of the man, to cover the physicality. Now the physicality, as those of you who've been in it, they call it you're in a balloon. In a balloon where you are embedded, you see the physicality, but now you are in an envelope. Going to the airport to take your physicality costs everything else you've done for years, and we know the method. To go with a transmutation means we use energy of this envelope. As I've said many times before, doesn't matter what we put in the envelope. Cash, check. Letters, love letters, hate letters, does not matter. When this envelope is posted, to get to its destination, then it can be anything in it. When you make a telephone call, it doesn't matter if it's the noise of the water, if it's your voice, the laughing of your child, or crashing of a glass on the floor. The package carries that noise from A to B, and the person on the other side listens to it. And only he listens because you dialed the right number. You connected magnetically what you call telephone line or satellite line, which is a weaker way from magnetic field, to destination point of who it is. It could be one day in North Europe, next day in Asia, the day after in Africa. We connect to it because we dial it, we know where it is, the satellites find it. In the world of creation, there is no satellite, but there's a connection of all the magnetic field of the universe together. If you dial the right number, if you connect to the right person, you can do that, which means you can connect to. This is what you do when you're asleep. The magnetic field pressure of the blood of the man lowers, and then this allows the soul of the man, which is encaged inside, to be free. And it goes to where he wants to. Dreams about the mom, dreams about the dad, dreams about what is concerns of the physicality during the day, or what is to come, because it's structured as part of the whole movement of the field. In the present time, we cannot dictate that tonight I go to sleep, or now I dream of the man, of mother or father who died years ago, and they'll be present in front of me, because this is unknown to us. But we do it in the dream. We accepted that we dreamt. Now we know there is the work of the soul, how the dream is created by reduction in the fields of the blood flow, like a tokamak. The plasma inside is released, so expands and emits mum. In the new space technology, that's what we do. In the new systems as you've been, we allow to reduce the fields of the blood and give that freedom. We take the energy magnetic field of the blood into our system. So now the soul expands, does the whole thing. Most of you have been in the system, they call it, you feel you're in an envelope, you're in a field. And we did this for past 4 or 5 weeks. Many of you have been here, over 100 people, and they've gone through the system to see the expansion. And it was contained into what we call Keshe Foundation, the Spaceship Simulation Center. We said we're going to go on a mobile system, which means we bring people from around the world back to Linz or where they want to go, or we can control or connect to them that they can travel without being here. Yesterday, we announced it weeks ago that it'll be done in October, November, we'll be ready. But our system, developed in past 2 years, has advanced so much that in that process, in developing the new systems, we had the opportunity yesterday with the teaching of the Rick on Wednesday morning, his workshop. I happened to be there, and I thought the system is free because a team of 5 changed the time to another week. So we had 5 places vacant, nobody turning up. They did in the last minute. So what we did, I said to the people who are with Rick in his teaching, in his workshop, that I would like to test something and see, maybe now we can see how fast we can develop the mobile system and test it. So with some 10, 15 people present with Rick, I asked them if they want to join a test, just off the cuff, just in one position. And we asked who's got a headphone, who hasn't got a headphone, who can listen to the, what we call the transmutation on a computer or whatever. And we did the first test with mass numbers, with more than 1 or 2 people. The results were in line, but not amazing, but confirmed the correctness. Go back to the teaching of the Rick's workshop and listen to it. We asked first for people, we leave them for 10, 15 minutes. We connected our system from here to the communication line, which is the telephone lines connected to RIC, the structure through Zoom operation. Then after 10 or 15 minutes, as we do here, it's like you go in this 10 or 15 minutes, you wait, it's not just waiting. We send energies, we send packages of plasmas of information, which your soul recognizes down the line. So we allow the blood structure to what they call not to interfere with work of the soul, with work of the energy inside the body. And in that process, we allow it to expand. And this was done in the first 10 or 15 minutes. They're all waiting for. They thought what they're waiting for. It's like you go to the airport, as I said many times, you wait, you arrived half an hour early, you wait till they announce which platform, where you have to go to catch your flight. And then I entered and I explained to them, now you can go to. You don't fly with the plasma technology. You go to, because it's instantaneous. Flying means getting on it to move the physicality. And explain to them you can go to your mom, to dad, grandpa, anywhere you like to go. It's your freedom. Go to the moon. Go to wherever. And we allowed this to take place. And after about 10 or 15 minutes, when we allowed them to do, I went in and we asked questions to see if transmutation through mobile phone is possibility. And the result was immediate. A number of people who wanted to speak, who went through the process, explain what happened to them. Go to the BRICS workshop and listen to it. And this brought forward the position of transmutation of the man through new technology. So we foresee in a much, much closer time that we could test for the first transmutation mobile system by you as knowledge seekers. Please sign in, register, and join. We want to mass travel people around the world, first through the soul, then through the soul to manifest their physicality. You got to remember in the yesterday's teaching of Rick, there were people from all corners of this planet. They were not all in one room like the flight system. There were people in Canada. There were people in South America, I think. There were people in Europe. There were people from Asia. And so we managed to reach all the souls simultaneously. We didn't ask them to all go together anywhere. That's in the next stages. But it was for them to test. So we are ready to go through the transmutation. And it's a beautiful feeling when what you set up, what you developed, the Keshe Foundation team have managed to achieve what man could not think is possible. We had people who went to see the mother, or they went to see the father, or people who went to the moon, and they described some of it. I had to leave halfway, and I don't know who else came in, but they explained. But what it comes to is Keshe Foundation is a space technology. As I said in the intro, we give you, if you want to travel in the dimension of the soul, transmutation, the system is getting ready to go. If you want to go and live in the dimension of the man, which most of you are involved on a daily basis, is where do I get my food? Where do I get my energy? Where do I get my all other things to be able to maintain the physical life? We gave you the good news about transmutation. Now, we call this the Energy Day, because what you see today is very important, especially for North European countries. Germany, Austria, France, Italy, Denmark, Norway is a gas exporter, and other European nations, which rely on a gas for daily life from Russia, between 40 to 60%, some nations 15, 20%. And we heard that the Russian government yesterday stepped down another pipeline to Germany. So we are running into crisis. This morning we hear the inflation in the United States runs at 9%. Inflation in Europe is getting to double digits because of the shortage of gases and other things which depends to Belarus and Russia, fertilizers, all kind of food to North Africa and Central West Asia from Ukraine. We're here to show two things, revolution and evolution in energy. Today, Russia, gas pipes, turbulizers, gases as a liquid into Western Europe through pipelines set and paid for by both countries and different countries to have a guaranteed pipeline energy. And now is in danger. And this winter, using the national reserves of all the nations of the gases, by March next year, there'll be crisis. But so they are cutting by 10-15% to be lower consumptions. The school will close earlier. The lights on the streets will go down much sooner than later at night. And all sorts of cuts we see. And we bring it to a lot more inflation and everything. And gas fuel prices goes up and the rest. Last week on Monday, we showed you gas, how to make hydrogen from Tehran laboratories and factory. Last Monday in Tehran, we showed an alternative plasma system you can put in your house and use 20%, maybe 30% of the energy from the government, and the system provides the balance of it. That's a system on its own. It's not a power generator. And last Thursday, in the second blueprint day, we showed you a generator. And a lot of people got confused with this generator. That what is this? Why is it so big? And if I bought the plasma enhancement unit, what is this one? Plasma enhancement unit is when you still rely on a government for supply, but you reduce your bill. Generator, it means generating power, and you can use it in conjunction with the enhancement unit, or you buy it, you have an independent house, and you put it in, and you don't need any connection. This power generator caused a lot of problem for people last week. And the reason for it was that the light goes on and off and everything else. The light and the fridge going on and off is, in fact, to do with the matter state today current problem. As long as you see this blue light on, you have a guarantee of supply without. So what you see as a light coming, a system going, we had to put it because otherwise you said, oh, they've got a battery in there and it supplies and that's it. The switch going on and off, the lights going on and off, it shows that the system here uses energy. When it gets to the point of not having the energy transferred on the what we call the inverter, it switches off for a few seconds, the plasma charges off the battery, and then it goes back again. As a generator, you don't have this problem. It's a continuous. This is shown to show the change in technology. When you buy a generator now for 2 kilowatts, you have to buy diesel for it. You have to buy fuel for it. You might have to buy wood for it to burn it, to boil the water, or bring the what we call diesel generator to rotate magnetic field to produce it. You buy a generator today, I bought many of them years ago for our businesses around the world. They usually are about half the size of a 20-foot container. And you get there, you still have to buy fuel for it. If you don't put a diesel in a generator, your hotel business is kaput. Doesn't work. You have no electricity. The beauty with this system is you never need to do anything with it. Plug and play for life, unless something internally goes somewhere with it, which is replaceable. This is a solid state generator. It means once you have it, you're supplied for life. You don't have to worry if the Russians cut the oil, if the Russians cut the gas, if something happens in the Middle East, oil prices goes up, you have to pay more for the fuel, as many of you do. You buy diesel in the summer, which is cheaper, that you don't have to pay for the fuel in the winter, 10 cents, 20 cents more. With this is what you see, what you get for life. 2 years guarantee internationally, 10 years, should nothing go wrong with it unless critically something breaks down. So you don't need to feed it. You don't need to do anything with it. The size of it you see is not the size of the system we get. This has been built to demonstrate the what we call the functionality of the plasma. This is done to show you that we see the system is working, energy is consumed, and when it's too much consumed, system takes a few seconds to charge up, and then it goes. So the generators you will get, most probably half size of this fridge, and is a practical way to do it. And we try to help people to buy different stages of generator, 0.3, 1 kilowatt, 2 kilowatt. And we found that a lot of people complain in the past few days that they are confused. So we decided we do one system only for public, which is a 2 kilowatt and a 10 kilowatt. 10 kilowatt is for industrial use. A 2 kilowatt unit is put up as a generator, and we try to start the production as fast as we can. But we said January of 2023, but we go into production as fast as we can to do it. Now we decide to do it different way. We didn't develop this technology for you as a generator. We did this not to have this, because we don't need this or the power. We need this plasma power, what you see as a blue line, for the running of the space simulation system. This is what they are built for. But as we produce energy, we said, okay, you can have it as well. So in fact, you look at these lights in a matter state in your home, we look at this light that the plasma power generation is going on in our, what we call, space flights. You're physically involved in that side. To you, it was important, the light comes and goes off. To us, this is important. As long as this light stays on, you have power supplied. Even you suddenly surge the power over 2 kilowatt, for a few seconds, you cut off, and then it comes back on again to supply you. The difference between the knowledge of the man of the past is this white bulb and white light gives you confidence. And to the science of today, we look for this dimension of interaction of the plasma. So you get from now on a 2 kilowatt generator is put in. We go into mass production very soon, and very small units, maybe this size. So I create this confusion with a lot of you. If you connect this system with your plasma enhancement unit, which is up for sale for past few weeks, you can increase the power consumption to maybe 4 kilowatts, 6 kilowatts. You can extend it. And then you have to realize most of the time, you don't use that amount of energy. Most of them households use about half a kilowatt during the day, peak hours, cooking time, at night, television, you go to around about 2 or 3 kilowatts. So you buy a generator independently in a village to light up a few things, and maybe have another dimension to use, and you add the enhancement generator, plug and play to increase the power. It means you put 2 kilowatt, but you can use actually 8 kilowatt instead of spreading to more numbers. And this is what it is. These generators will not come in this size. There's a lot of things in the background here. It's a prototype showing. You will end up with a system like this. More or less the size gets prototyped and you see it, for you to see that does not matter what I do, the blue plug, the blue light, plasma energy, which is needed for you, is needed. Don't forget, once you start understanding the work of the plasma flight system, plasma enhancement units, you'll find out the use of these lights become obsolete. The use of heating become obsolete. The way you use plasma gases in two different materials on the wall of the house and now bring it to about 20, 22 degrees balance, this system, used the way we add to it, will do it for you. You don't need to heat with this. With this new plasma technology, with the additions you can put around the house, the whole house will be warm as you need it. And this is the beauty of it. That's why we don't think you need more than 2 kilowatts if you want to live a human life. But as long as this is on, now you're used to central heating, underfloor heating. Now you have plasma heating. You heat, you release energies which are absorbed by the inner body of the man and keeps it at the temperature which you're happy with. The way when we called yesterday and people were happy, some to go to New York and some go to see the grandpa who died years ago and the others. Somebody likes a heat with a body of, let's say, room temperature of 25, he feels that 25. If somebody likes to be in the Bahamas at 32 degrees during the winter, you feel that way. The science has changed. The knowledge has changed. Now you are happy with this, I give you this, no problem. This is light. I can plug it anytime. It still does the same for you. It beeps a little bit, charges it back. You're happy as human usage. But this beeping is nothing to do with the structure. This is for you to show the system is working. The fridge runs, the light is on, there's not enough energy. At the moment the plasma is charging the battery, give it a few seconds, battery is charged by the plasma system in the background, and voila, your physical need is done. The fridge comes back. But in the generator you don't have this. It's a continuous flow. It's a continuous energy. This is here as a demonstration for you to see the production of energy. So the plasma generators are there as put on, and it makes you independent of everything. Because later on, when we add the food system, the environmental system, the what we call the warmth and heating system, then you don't need any of these. You're used to, as I said, the latest thing is underfloor heating. Now we heat the body of you the way you like. The husband and wife sitting on the same sofa, somebody is too hot at 23 degrees. The other one likes to feel to be in Bahamas, feeling 37 degrees. You feel that. Change of knowledge, change of technology, as we could not, if you remember in early 90s, when the first mobile phone came, it was a suitcase and a hand phone we used to carry, and it was very posh to have this. Everybody was shaking, oh, I'm very good, I'm advanced with technology, with a suitcase in my hand and a phone. Even they were not talking to anybody, it was so I can do it. And now it's fashionable with the little microphones, little handheld phones. This is that what it is. The evolution of technology, this is that suitcase with the hand phone. In a few years' time, this will be packaged that will create food, energy, and everything else. This is the beginning of revolution in the science of man and the technology it brings. So we understand fully that this is a demonstration unit. The functional plasma 2 kilowatt will be a small package, and you want it to be this beeping. This beeping is for you because, you know, critics of the Keshe Foundation, oh, he's got a battery in there and he's charging. Anybody can put a box in there and light up. Now you see it. We know what we have, and knowledge seekers, you've seen what he can do. Now, we come in the evolution of the science the way we never knew before. As we talked about the Russians, as we talked about the gas, all of you are very happy. You're used to. Most of you who don't live in the central line gas pipes, you're used to this. Yep. This is your gas cylinder. The gas in there, most probably liquefied in Siberia or somewhere else, or in Qatar, or in the gas mines of Iran, comes in huge super tankers of gas with if you see them on the oceans, it's like big balloons next to each other, comes to your country, they plug it in, fill it up, you buy it, you take it home, you cook with it, you burn with it. Some of you become a bit modern because the price of fuel on a gas is cheaper than a diesel and petrol. You convert one of these tanks and put it in the back of your car, and you've become hybrid gas petroleum. The new version is hybrid electric petroleum. So you carry huge amount of liquid gas here in this container. And when it finishes, you have a switch in the car. You go to the what we call petroleum, and you burn the fuel, or you switch into electric. Now electric motor runs, or at home, sorry darling, gas ran out, no food tonight. You forgot to buy gas, now we have nothing to eat. You forgot about the gas, there is no heating tonight in the bedroom in the winter. This is man to today's knowledge and technology. And this is what the Russians are playing the roulette game with the Europeans. This is what now Middle East nations with the gas are playing with everything else. We showed the hydrogen production through what we call the Iran presentation. Rick, would you like to show us when the Iranians showed us the production of hydrogen in Tehran last week, if you have it available, that we all remind ourselves. In this process, we showed in a simple way, we can produce huge amount of hydrogen. But hydrogen is a different material. Your houses are not used to it. Industry uses it for something else. This is the beautiful lab in Tehran on the flag of the Iranian nation and the Keshe Foundation. We showed this was the power supply. But how we can use the plasma technology, and we extend the time by 3-4 times. We have a video of the burning of the gas, which was produced in Tehran. If you can show us that one that we see for the first time, we showed how we can produce gas at will at any point. Do you have that video?
I can
yeah, it's shared. If you can take the other screen.
Okay, just a minute here.
Klaus is playing it in the background for you. If you can replay it on the main screen, please.
Okay, just
this we showed, you have to expand it. You have to expand your screen.
I have to stop my sharing first, actually. There we go.
Okay. Start and we can see.
I've got a 20-minute video with the full presentation if you want that, but maybe this is
we just need this part.
Okay.
So what we showed in Tehran was that we can produce atomic hydrogen and convert it into gas and burn it. But the beauty of it is that this never been done. And this can be like what we saw in the generator, everlasting supply of gas. We don't need the mines to gas it out. We produce it as we need it in a simple way, in a simple technology. And the hydrogen, you buy it for all sorts of welding and other purposes. It's not a common use. So the Russian boycott does not affect us except in construction and some other research facilities or other things we use with what we call the production. In this process, we come to understanding of the totality. Can you show the gas, the hydrogen in Tehran? If you can take sharing from here, Klaus. Rick is trying to do it from his end. Can you go to the beginning of it? This was done in Tehran, very rapid, to show that we can produce gases, and it's a hydrogen, and it creates flame. That's the only way you can show it. And this is a breakthrough in science, which means now we don't need mines. We don't need any other alternatives. There are other alternatives in the market that produce hydrogen, but it costs a lot. This is said to cost not much, but in a way, you don't need heating, you don't need anything else. It's a natural process. This changes the game from that point last week to this week. This week game is we are going directly for the government. Directly for you at home, if you understand what you're doing, and most of the gases we use for heating up or transportation is methane, because it does what it's supposed to do. In the process of even the gas coming from Russia, we allow this gas in open space as a liquid to convert into a gas, burn it. Mainly, we use methane in it, but they call it liquid gas. You buy it, but methane is the perfect way for it without a lot of other problems. And if we can produce methane at petrol stations, produce methane in these cylinders at home, because in the house you burn is a methane with some smells add to it because it's odorless. You can only detect it by certain systems which detects methane only. When somebody comes to the house or you go to check, they have a detector with them. And methane has never been produced, because if we can produce and mass produce methane, you have changed the energy game. And today we show you. Keshe Foundation has achieved this progress. And you go to Qatar, you go to the fields of the Russian, Siberia, and the rest to get gases, you destroy the environment. You do a lot of damage. From today, this is your mind. This is the mine that can be in any house, can be in any petrol station, can be in any what we call generating rooms. We have tested the burning. It's too dangerous to burn because it has a backflow pressure. We have taken the pictures. What the cylinders you see is the conversion cylinders, where the gas comes from the methane gas production and then comes up in the tank. We show you with the latest methane system that detects methane only. We produce as much as we need, where we need. We do not need to keep huge tanks of liquid, dangerous. We keep water and we convert it. And in this process, today you buy a liter of liquid gas, which gives you so much per kilowatt hour energy, and you pay €1.30 or about per liter. This will cost you nothing. This will cost just maintenance of it, and you can produce as much as you like. Governments in Europe using this technology are free and become free from the control of the oil cartels, the gas cartels. This is what we told you last week. We start negotiating. We start showing it to the government, because industrialization of this will take very rapid process. Industrialization of this is immediate. And European nations do not need to carry gas pipes, do not need to worry about where they're going to reserve it. You keep the present gas tanks you have. We show you how to convert it. You become independent fuel generator. You become Qatar in your own country. You produce as much gas as you need. The drop in energy supply costs will revive the industry. It'll bring a new game in and will change a lot of things. In a way, what we say to you, as the old song says, goodbye, pain and suffering. We are done with. And your new gas, new methane supply, plus the hydrogen we gave, we can give you other gases, because once you understand the technology, you know what to do with it. I show you the parallel to it, the third gas, which is the CO2. The third pipe here is producing CO2. You see the bubbles, and it says we have 656, I don't know if you can see it, CO2 particles per million. We put this in a cage and show you how much CO2 we produce. At the moment, there is a big problem with CO2, global warming. Thank you very much for Dutch people who created this. But if you go to a farm, a greenhouse, they burn gases to create CO2 for growth of vegetation. If you want to make your fizzy drinks, you need the CO2. You want to make a fire extinguisher, you need the CO2 to be added to the water. The beauty with this CO2 is very much different. We explain later on. The methane gas, if we can produce it, that we don't need the resources anymore of the earth, and makes governments like German government in the next 2 years independent of the fuel supply, you have cracked it. Those of you who are German, call your televisions, call your people and tell them to watch. Those of you who are Austrians, tell them to watch. What we're going to show you, we can show you the burnout we had in the lab. That's why in the environment of here, it's not safe to do. But we have brought a meter which shows you if we produce methane and how we produce methane. Does somebody wants to come and test this, please? We show you that we connect the international devices, detectors. Klaus is volunteering, he's coming to show you the production of methane gas, which is held in a small amount in this cylinder. You can see it. Do you have the microphone? Yes. Can you hear it? Do you have it? Yeah? Klaus, you can explain.
Yes,
You're
we're
not
using here.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear Klaus? No?
No.
Just they have to switch on the main terminal that his switch will come. We show you how we create what we call methane gas. And this will be a lifetime production. Means if you use gas at home for heating, or if you use diesel or mazout, you call it, you can easily replace it with a gas which you produce at home. These should be standardized by the governments in a very rapid way and will be in the house. In a very near future, when you buy a house, they tell you, do you have it or not? I'll give it to Klaus to explain to you.
Okay, you can hear me now.
Yeah, you got to go close.
Okay. In order to measure what we produce, we are using an instrument.
Come
Called
close to the camera, they can see it.
RS.
And we can't quite hear the audio very good there.
Can you
Okay.
hear him now?
I can
Just
talk
a bit,
louder.
bit louder.
Yeah, okay. So we are using this methane gas detector called RSGD36. It's a standard device to detect methane in gases. And as soon as you see one of these bars in red, it detects methane. If there are more bars lighting up red, then there's a higher concentration. We are measuring here in the air, which means as soon as there appears even 1 bar, we produce methane. And I'm gonna place this detector now.
I have your microphone.
Yeah.
Yep. You got to zoom in to the detector.
See, we have 1, 2, we have even 3 bars.
Depends how much we request from the system gives. We are not requesting from it, it's just building. If you notice, the minute we release the gases, it was a bubble requesting from the system to do. Now constantly keeps it at 3. If we change the parameters in the back, we can go to 4 and 5. But this is safe enough for us to show you. We have achieved a mass continuous production of the methane in the system. So what you call the methane production, gas production, to release Western Europe from this dilemma is over. Would you like to test it again, that it wasn't one-off?
Okay.
And you can see, because we emptied the tank to 1 level,
Okay.
we do it again. Give me the microphone, you can do.
You can see here, the bars went back to 0. There is no red bar because the sensor is away from the source.
I'll have the microphone. We can produce continuously megatons of this material by conversion without needing to liquefy the gas. Call on demand. If we put a burner on this, it'll go to 4 and 5, the way you saw in Tehran. Once you call a demand on it, that you can burn it, it pulls everything else out. We show you again in a few minutes that you see is a continuous production. Thank you very much, Klaus. You're going to see Klaus in a few seconds, a few minutes again, because we do the same thing now with the CO2. The beauty with this CO2 is that it'll be proven in the future. When you have a fire, you usually have CO2 in a small cylinder, releases into the water, and then trying to, in a way, put the fire out. And it doesn't matter if it's a life in it or not, there is no existence because you die with it, you suffocate with it because of the monoxide and everything else. With this technology, it's different. When you spray this, once the right combination understood and applied, if you're in a fire, you spray the water with this gas. If there's a life in it, it will survive. It does not kill. If there's a plant in it, it will survive. Just what is burned before, that'll be the limitation. When this is sprayed, the life exists. To you could be saying this is impossible, but go back on what you've done as Keshe Foundation. You see the bubbles of CO2 coming up from the system. And we can show again, as we shown before, at the moment, CO2 in this environment is what, 640? Now we have a sealed system and we open. CO2 is safe. Our team are much stronger than me. They have tightened it. Now we put this in. You can smell it. And we close the gap. And we leave it to build up. And we'll see that we are producing, now we've gone to about, can you come any closer? Can you bring your camera in, because it has to be in the confined environment of it. Can you see the digits? It's building up, 686, 696, 700, and it shows that we are producing carbon. Again, a standard tool you can buy, and builds up. This has a huge application. Forest fires. Applied with this, you don't need to throw water, and where the water touches, the gas spreads, covers the whole of forest. It's a different ballgame again in science and technology. You're releasing gases on a constant basis that when you have a house on fire, the fire brigade just sprays a small amount, the gases will take over. But the life doesn't die because of the CO2 blockage. And you know all why. You, as knowledge seekers, use this CO2 for connection for a neural system. You've been using it in different applications with the zinc and copper for corona and the rest. This is in a physical condition, CO2, but in a plasma condition, it's a lifesaver. And this is a game changer again. So we've shown hydrogen in Tehran. You've seen methane today. You've seen CO2. So it shows the Keshe Foundation technology through plasma technology has opened up a new dimension in the world of science and technology. Independence from the resources. On demand when you need. And you can buy these today through Keshe Foundation. And we try to deliver, especially the methane, within the next couple of months, as much as we can produce to meet the demand of the European need and the shortages by the Russia, and cutting your prices, your fuel cost, converting your car from the diesel to a gas, which costs you nothing. In a way, once you buy one system, you can connect it one line to the central heating, one line to fill up the gas for the car. And if you are understand the next stages of combining this with this, you have a permanent power generator. We just put a micro generator at the end of the gas as a flow, not as a burner, and we can continuously power the plasma and push the power of the system to 4, 6, or 10 kilowatts. So you see the change in the game of the energy, and this is delivered to the governments as of today. We'll announce in the next few days something again revolutionary with the Keshe Foundation. And what is interesting, if you look at that system, we hear the blips, but we don't see the lights to be out. But now you see the blip on this one. If you come closer, right into it, you see it's gone on red. Too much CO2 in the system. Now, if you can read it, it's past 1,000 particles per million, which is dangerous. And you see in the process, trying to maintain. And we have shown the system in production. The system, now we stop the system. And you'll see how the CO2 was produced and holds. And you see it, now it's not receiving anymore. contained. I take the lid off and bring the system out into the atmospheric condition. The bleep stops. Those bubbles you see in the container is the CO2, and the same bubble in the other container is methane. And scientific tools, equipments, standard tools supplied by authorities in the governments and laboratories, which has been approved, is showing the validity of the knowledge. So we can produce any gases. Now we have the knowledge. If you remember, all goes back to this machine. It's in the background. Material enhancement unit. If you can zoom on this one, you can see it. As it says on the side of it, material enhancement unit, which means we enhance the production of the material. The size of it in a matter state to make gold, zinc, aluminum, whatever you like, is in a way what we call gas enhancement unit, which means we're converting the fields into material. Proof of the concept of conversion, that we can convert energies into matter the way our Earth atmospheric condition does. And you see the two systems. What we told you years ago, we built the system 2 years ago. Now you see it for the gas production. Hydrogen and helium. I go back to something which is very important regarding the hydrogen. At the moment, the hydrogen, as we said before, is used for different usages for 3 or 4 advanced nations for as weapon, hydrogen bombs, which is supposed to be a lot of control on it by United Nations. It needs a small knowledge to change the hydrogen atomic, the way we showed you, we spoke about the CO2, will be used on the human body, to monoatomic hydrogen as a plasma. And the way the CO2 become plasmatic, used for the same, not the hydrogen bomb, but the hydrogen plasma explosion, which used, for example, on certain areas in the space by mixing hydrogen with the environment, create condition of water and life. Americans used the hydrogen for a bomb to kill. Iranian scientists used the hydrogen, which can be used for a bomb, to create life, to sustain life. The same thing happens with the methane. If the governments understand, and the Keshe Foundation will release this technology, in the areas of massive fire, massive droughts, the explosion of what we call methane gas as an explosive, or the hydrogen, will create rain in a massive scale and is natural. It's not like when in the past they used aluminum dust to create rainfalls in the dry places and then create all sorts of mayhem psychologically. This process creates natural water, which with it carries energies, which can revive life, bring back vegetation. If you don't know, go back to your favorite Wikipedia. When you burn methane, you produce CO2 plus water. It's a natural process of the conversion of methane. The same thing happens with hydrogen. When you explode hydrogen in a plasma condition, you create water. Now you understand, in the future businesses of the production of the energy through the plasma like this, we can give you water free, clean water without contamination. The reason I said you will add this to that, you thought, oh, he's using electric turbine. My dear, I'm giving you water free. This is your water resources. Clean water, untouched. Nothing can be found in it. I remember in 1990s when the Eastern Bloc opened up, and I used to have an office in Almaty in Kazakhstan. By the order of the government, I was taken to a very remote part of Kazakhstan. We arrived there 12 o'clock at night, and they said we drilled 10,000 meter drills here to get to oil and gas, and we found this water is pure. What can we do with it? And it stays at 95 degrees constant. I got those times Coca-Cola bottles we had in the car with us, and we filled it up. We brought it to Europe. I took it to the laboratories in England, and they said, this is so pure, there is nothing in it. It has not been touched for millions of years. Where did you get it from? This is the water which these systems will give you. If the way you add smell to methane, that you know your cooker is on and you left the gas on, we add specific materials to methane that at the time of explosion release life. You don't need to water the farms to grow materials to buy fertilizer. A small amount of methane gas mixed with hydrogen, mixed with what is needed for wheat, for corn, you water. You can make one small explosion, literally with a little bit of noise, every 2 days over the farm in the middle of the deserts of Arizona. You don't need to do what the American did, tap into the base water in Texas and drain it, what was there for millions of years. And now Texas is back to drought with nothing in it because the water is finished. The American government, give me a chance, I'll bring back the desert of Texas to be as green as the jungles of Africa with one small adjustment in what you use as a hydrogen bomb to kill. As Iranian scientists, we put life into it to bring life back to you. And this is the change of the game. And we don't need to say it because, my dear friends, you use this technology in a very simple way for past 4 or 5 years. And you have done this yourselves, not me. It's been done right across the planet. And we know up to now you had to water the farm and add gases to it. The farmers get fed up just to have a growth in harvest. Now you can do it in a more different way and increase your harvest. Reports from China, growing, increasing the harvest. Reports from many of you for how your vegetation and vegetables and other things have grown so much has been on the internet long enough. What you did with watering your gases, now we do with CO2 absorbed, hydrogen absorbed, added to methane and hydrogen explosive food plasma technology. And many of you, we know what has brought to all of us. You can see on the screen the difference between the two. You can see on the screen from the data, you knowledge seekers, these are pictures from you, how it'll change things. How nations food supply will not depend on the season. You can see the size of the one on the bottom and the one on the top using this technology. So as we've done with the space plasma flight unit, amalgamating all the knowledge together for that purpose, now we amalgamate all the knowledge with this technology for nations. No need for Russia to boycott the gas into Europe, that the farmers in Holland don't have gases to grow vegetation and beautiful flowers of Holland for all of us to enjoy around the world. The same will be for African nations. The same will be for the South Americans. The same will be for Australians and the rest. With this technology, we make Earth a heaven to live in, where we don't destroy anymore, where whatever we do is for elevation of the beauty of the planet. And you're part of it. When you buy the gas unit in the house, when you burn, the things added to it which does not affect the burning will bring joy. Transfer the energy into the food, transfer the energy into the house. Now you're scared of leaving the gas on open. Now you leave the gas open because it carries elements of the natural basis that it becomes food, it becomes joy. Methane in this process has the same process as what you used in CO2. But it has to be done in the correct way. And then we understand the whole process of life changes. And we are here to bring that change. The knowledge and technology is for that change. Those of you who would like to still go to the fuel station and blame the wife for not buying the gas cylinder, you're quite welcome to it. And those of you who will sit in the cold of winter on the blanket because you cannot afford it, it's your decision. In a way, as they say, the choice is yours. Choose this and suffer with the shortage of gases in Europe. Choose this and bring prosperity and life back to Europe and the rest of the world. This is why we call it evolution in science, evolution in energy, evolution in understanding in a way no nation can be taken to ransom by another for God-given rights of food, energy, and light. This is where the Keshe Foundation stands, and is the responsibility of you knowledge seekers to show this to your governments. Call your newspapers, call your television companies. They can come here and test. They can come here and breathe it. They can come and see, eat it, drink it, whatever they want to do with it. Something which you have not realized, or go back on the last week, last Thursday, when we showed the system, is a hidden knowledge. Go back to last week and you see how frequent the lights will come in and going. And this week, there's not that much of it. As I said before, it's like I stand here, the sun, the light, the love of Creator shines on all equal. How we use it depends on us, and how we share it depends on us. And the same light as you see on that system is here. To you, the reason these lights are not coming on and off as often as last week is there. To a scientific understanding, all these are creation of plasma. Now I have like a star formation. These systems are feeding that system. These gas-producing systems, which are here in front of you, are feeding, sharing energy. In a way, they are backing the battery up. I don't let you go down because you're low, we give you. This is what I told you in a coming time when you buy, when you have one of these installed in your house. Would you like to have food, wellness, and water system in the house, another place? You don't need water in the living room, but you install a system that the water is created in your bathroom. You don't need no pipeline. This is the beauty of understanding where this technology will take us. The whole thing is not a game. Those who went out to destroy the Keshe Foundation destroyed themselves. We have delivered the flight enhancement unit. 100 of you came here to go through it. 10 or 15 of you went through it yesterday with Rick in Canada, God knows other part of the world together simultaneously. Now you have the energy system, the gas system, and then you understand the change in the game of living on this planet. Is not anymore Russian gas, is not anymore, God knows, shortage of food. It's the point that now I have all this given to me, I have it at my fingertip. How can I use my time to serve the others, to bring joy and happiness and life to the others? Many of you come here and say, my wish is to bring joy to humanity. Now you have the system to bring it. We structured these to be fast delivery system. You want to see, I'll bring it to you back. Your CO2 is back again at, you want me to stop here? Do you want to change camera? 648. I give this system to the farmer, tomato grower in Holland, saves him millions of dollars a day or a year, because he pays for this to be burned in a greenhouse to create a tomato, which has a life of maybe 2 weeks in the farm, in the shops. And with this, he creates a tomato, which is joy to eat, and it lasts 6 to 10 weeks in the shops. It's a change in the economy, a change in life. Klaus is very happy to come back to show something to us. Would you like to measure again your methane gas? So we see why we call it change in energy, change in what we call plasma technology. We measure this, and what we've done, very simply to you, is Keshe Foundation this time is not in the game just to sell a unit. You buy a unit, you contribute for next 10 years, 20 years to the foundation in a small amount that we can keep on expanding and developing and creating life for the others who are not fortunate to have. So on the gas units, on the generator units, we have put a minimum of 100 euro per year. You pay just to subscribe to use these systems. And if you feel more generous, you can make 250 or 100 or 1,000, doesn't matter, every year for the what saving you make and what you change bring. So these units are for sale today. We're selling it as a household plasma unit, and we try to get this as fast as possible into the market that we beat the Russian boycott. And then we contact your bankers and your governments and tell them we don't need to suffer. There we are, methane gas line opened up. You see, it goes down. It was just like the generation of the power. It stays constant supply. If we burn it, it goes up to the third and up. If we don't use it, nature only supplies what is needed. And you can see how clearly it is. And the beauty of it is, in the back, the energy system bleeps in too. vacuum power. Now, the energy and power is the hand of the individuals, not governments. It's you who decide how much gas I'm going to have, how much electricity I'm going to have, and goes back to all of you, because being here for past 4 or 5 weeks, thank you very much, Klaus, your system works. When we gave the patents to the governments in 2012, you all called me betrayer. You betrayed us. You brought the technology. You gave it to the government again. We gave it to you from 2015-16. You still couldn't do anything with it. Now we show you what is done and what can be done. And the process is very simple. You've seen, we showed you that. Again, I'll show you this, 647. I'll give you a little bit of gas. Oop, it just was too much. You had the bubbles in it. And then we see it again. We build up. We wait for it to shout at us and tell us what it's got to. And you see it, 654, 656. Been building up the CO2 production, but the natural CO2. And the system will carry on the same way. Now we allow the flow in it. And you see the gas production increases. And $671, $669. It goes to 1,000, and you get the alarm going off again. So the game is in energy and gas supply for the Russian government to boycott is finished. But the beauty of this is when we see these gas generators released, used by the government, is not just for this year. These systems will stay for nations, for the life of the nation. It's not a nuclear reactor that you spend 30 billion to build it, and then you spend 200 billion to clean it up over 50, 60 years and holding nuclear material. You spend 30 billion developing, completing these systems. Your nation does not need nuclear power stations. Your nation does not need to suffer from shortage of electricity anywhere in the world. It's a natural product and has no waste to store it somewhere and is on demand. You need the gas, you've seen it, creates it. We saw it in Tehran, the minute they stopped burning, how fast it came. We saw here a rapid bubble expansion. So this is the evolution in science and technology, and how we go about it and how we increase it and how we add to it mainly depends on Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers and the structure we set around this program. We go for a break and we come back and try to answer some sensible questions. Thank you very much, Rick, if you want to take us for a break.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. And we'll go for a short break here with some commercial messages and be back in a few minutes.
You see beautiful pictures from Keshe Foundation Space Center in Linz. Above us is a UFO, and inside us is a spaceship with all the materials in a UFO. So what you were dreamt to have to fly in is above you, and what you dreamt, what you call aliens have, is in the hand of the man. We'd like to go for a break.
Yes, thank you.
The new Horizontal Enhancement Spaceship Unit. A space technology that allows us to work with the fields of the universe, creating a wide range of plasma field interactions and conditions. It allows the body to process itself from any physical or emotional imbalance. Once this balanced condition is achieved, the soul and emotion of the body can follow to find their balance and elevate the whole of the man. The new Horizontal Enhancement Spaceship Unit, technology of the future through advanced plasma knowledge. The revolutionary new Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit is due to be launched in June 2022, and in the same year is expected to fly passengers into space, to the moon and beyond for a day or even several days at a time. There is no need for the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit to carry food or medicine, as it is equipped with the latest space technology for transportation, transmutation and deep space operation. This extraordinary breakthrough technology ushers in a new era of travel without the need of fuel, food, or medicine, even during the longest excursions into deep space. Each spaceship unit has a 4-passenger capacity for long or short duration flights and has the capability to travel between cities on Earth in a matter of seconds to minutes, depending on the distance and speed. This ability to traverse massive distance in such incredibly short time is not just a breakthrough for human transport, it also completely revolutionizes the transportation of goods and cargo, and will rapidly overcome the need for one of our most polluting practices, namely marine shipping, as it finally breaks us free not only from the combustion of heavy diesel, but from the combustion of any fuel for propulsion in the future. The Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a new paradigm in space travel, space medicine, and space technology.
Okay, bear with me a second while I get the correct frame up here. Okay, we are back at the 443rd Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, July 28th, 2022. Mr. Keshe, are you ready to deal with some questions here now?
Yes, but I want to just go back on just what you just shown as advertising for the moving a cargo or for passengers. If you understood what we said at the beginning of today, where we are about to go on the mobile transmutation, then you understand the next step in the process of transportation. If you want to ship things around, the way we expanded the soul of the man beyond the physicality of the man and we moved the envelope is the next step for transportation of goods. If you go back into this system, the original system, which is here, and I don't know if the camera can be brought here, if you can go on our camera. I don't know how much you can move. You can't move because he's grounded. Can we go on the camera, please? Come back to the enhancement unit. If you go back, would you like to change the system, the screen, please, Rick, to allow us to come in? If you can share. Okay. When you look inside this system, again, look at the different dimension and not produce it as an enhancement unit for production material, using it as a soul, the same as what we did with you yesterday in your teachings, Rick, and extend the field of that center system beyond the physical boundary of this system. Doesn't matter how many tons you put in this container. You order a burger from Burger King, they put it in the envelope of a system which is preset like this. Now you call Uber or you call somebody else to deliver with a bicycle to your house, the food will be delivered down the line to you. This is not any more fairy tales. We've done, we know, and we are there to do. You have a cargo in China, you don't need to pay, I was told $17,000, $18,000 now to get a container from China into Europe. You increase the center, the container is here not in 8 weeks. The container here is in 8 seconds. Because now you can understand the implication of the technology. There you see it as a sun to create materials. Now we create as a soul for a system. And you see a lot of things changes. What happens to the customs? Who's going to pay the taxes for customs? Have you paid your VAT? Or we make a one nation, one planet, one race, and then we tax equal to pay for the expense of all of us across this planet. Not if you're American, you have a good time on the burden of the Africans, or if you can bring something from there on the burdens of South America or Asia. This is the change, and the governments have to get used to it very soon. So what you thought in the system for your soul to expand and travel where you want, or what we did yesterday, now we make the same system here. This is your new envelope. What you want to carry in it. Would we smuggle people the way we do nowadays? Or would we bring the joy and what you need at home and do the same delivery? Do we need huge containers, or we deliver item by item as you need instantaneously? Now you see the changes on, and the implication of it comes by the knowledge seekers. Governments would not listen till we actually deliver people. We have a problem here we have to resolve in the next few weeks with the Austrian government. Behind these doors, if you turn the camera, would you like to close your door, please? Just wait. Behind these doors here, as I turn, is the most advanced space technology man ever known. If I open this door, the systems are running. There is no difference between what's behind this curtain and what sits in that enhancement unit. Is the knowledge applied in two different ways. There you see a gap. Here we see the knowledge of the creation and the flight, the way the universal community flies. You can't see it, it's so beautiful. It's beyond imagination how a small system, small structure has changed the life of man for transport and everything else. If we go on to the level, go to the understanding of there is no difference between what sits behind that door and that door in the enhancement unit, now we solve the knowledge. We have managed to bring the science of theology and of physics together. And that's why we said the messengers of now, as it was at the beginning, bring the two together. Because you cannot have one without that. You cannot run a system which has an emotion without understanding how you can use this emotion. So the two knowledge have no choice. They have come together out of the beauty of what we call sharing the knowledge so openly with all of you for past 20 years. Do we need to be aliens, to be foreigners? Do we need, as we heard this morning, what the Hungarian president said over the weekend in Romania about how many Jews you get in the matchbox? Do we need the rest of it which he came up? And all the rubbish, which is nations should be no others. Now you have not seen how the nations will mix. I like to live in Austria today. Next week, I like to be in Beijing. And the week after, I like to be in New York. And no government can control where I'll be. It's my decision. I decide, I travel. And I'm there instantly, as many of you have tested it in the system. So you see the two sides of the knowledge, the science and technology and ethos of what we call theology, the soul of the man now sits in this building. We have no choice. Through understanding of the knowledge in either way, we have brought it together to be one. And this goes back in a very simple way. Do we need religions? Do we need ayatollahs and popes when everything is in our hand? That bubble of energy is life, as Klaus just said. It's beautiful how you see life is created, bubble with bubble. And you are responsible for it. You don't need no religious man and no government to tell you anything else, because you decide how the ethos sits, where you want the soul be, and how you want your physicality to enjoy the presence of the soul. Now we go back, if there are any questions. It seems there are no questions. It's a good time to say goodbye.
Well, there's nearly 100 attendees here, and I remind them that they can raise their virtual hands in order to allow you to open your microphone. We have a hand up from Gatwa here. Dr. Gatwa, would you like to go ahead?
Yes, thank you very much. Rick, can you hear me well?
Yes, clearly.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Good morning, Mr. Keshe. This is Gatwa.
Yes, good morning, Dr. Gatwa.
Yeah, thank you very much. First is to thank you very much for bringing this revolutionary technology, science and technology to the world that also brings peace. In fact, I see it as having potential to make all countries self-reliant and developed.
You don't need to, so it is there to be doing, it's doing it, it has no choice, it's upon us. We have no...
And yes, and I appreciate very much, but I have a few questions, and the first one is, when there is an outbreak of a virus or something like that that destroys lives, all countries of the world go into a frenzy trying to buy into whatever is on sale from various places, some of them fake, some of them not effective against such virus, but a lot of money is spent. But when this science and technology is brought to the world, it's open, it's everywhere, it's on the internet. Why are countries so blind? Why don't we hear about it? Why don't we see a frenzy of countries wanting to buy this technology? That's the first question, Mr. Keshe, but I have more.
First question, I think we answered you before. This needs to be charged. I answer you straight away. The only reason you're not getting it is because of this here, connection is here, Klaus, I have it, is because of the Kingdom of Belgium. The King of Belgium, in making a fake court case and saying we are fraud, has put a lot of things apart. That the governments go by what he said, we could not defend the case in Belgium. Dutch people went there, you saw what they did with him. Hitler didn't put armed officers in the court, Belgians did. They're ruthless. The Belgians are people who killed half of the African Congo. And one scientist to them is no difference. And we saw it, they put the closest person to me as a spy, informing before, preempting everything. This technology would not have been out if it still was a Belgium in our structure. This is the reason it's not there. The biggest spy in the Keshe Foundation, which we didn't know, the biggest pedophile we didn't know, was sitting inside the Keshe Foundation. We open this very soon for you with criminal conviction in pedophilia. We couldn't. They had a hold on the person with prison sentence for pedophilia. And we always said, what happened around Keshe Foundation? Why everything was around us? Documents in police stations and courts, documentation in newspapers. We release it when the time is right. The Belgians decided we take it or we destroy it. as they did with Congo. But this time, this technology was much bigger than Congo. It belongs to the creator, and the king of Belgium will be dust. Never ever remember, there will be no nation called Belgium, because you know, we all paid so much for it. We can talk very openly how Keshe Foundation was brought in. They knew the day of my assassination in Italy. We give you documents for it. The day when I was supposed to be assassinated, which Fabio got assassinated, according to all of you, as you know, I'm everywhere, wherever Mr. Keshe is. That day, I'm home, waiting for a death news. We don't tell you a lot of things. Now we are free, we can do what we do within time. You and I, Rick, 6 years ago, this time got banned from YouTube. You remember? Because we brought Sterling up, and he went and claimed names. And 8 months later, we got him solitary prison for life for pedophilia. And the people around us knew how they brought it because they were benefiting by it. This is the reason we are not in news, because pedophiles, the Kingdom of Belgium and people in it, have a lot of things to do. It's the way they keep the other leaders in silence, because they have pictures of them or whatever to do with them with children. When you got somebody by the neck, you can do whatever you like. So it's not in the news, but now it's in your hand. That's what it counts. Would it matter if it was a pigeon time when you send the message by pigeon, and we would have discovered this technology and we had no television? Would it make any difference? Would it have made any difference if it was 20 years ago and we could show it? In a way, the time wasn't right. In a way, man had to learn the knowledge we have learned now. And I am very glad that we are free to teach the way we are teaching, and we are free to be able to share knowledge so freely. And we've done so for years to come. The whole beauty of it is we are here, it's now, and the knowledge is shared, and knowledge can be shared still so freely. And the beauty of it is, in the city of Linz, you have material life, you have plasma life, as you see on the screen, or you have flight system through the soul of the man behind the wall. The technology is the technology of the created. Knowledge is knowledge of creation. How we change it to a technology is in what we need and what demand for it. It's very interesting. Can I have that? Klaus, can I have that detector, please? We just had the smoke detector, which is for the CO2 detector, and it ran out of energy. No, the CO2 system you had. Yeah, bring it without charging it. We had to stop, take it out, because you cannot charge yourself. We have to charge it to something. And it's going to be charged. You see the cap is open because I couldn't hear any more bleeping. So now we put it on the charger. What happens? In a few seconds, it runs out again. We can't charge it. What about if in the near future, we add the knowledge, what's inside this box, into this? Do you need batteries to charge? Do you need hoping that your CO2 or monoxide system has a battery and it runs out of battery, your child is in the room, accident happened with a fire, and monoxide kills the child? Do you rely on a manned technology which fails, or do you rely on the knowledge of the creation, that it works all the time. It's very simple. It's standing right in front of us. You all saw us, we put it in there, suddenly stopped, ran out of energy. I need to charge it, I need to plug it. And if I stand here, who charges this light in front of me? Who sends this energy, we call this energy of the sun, to me? Who charges it? What is in there above me is one inside me. It's beautiful when the sun shines on what we call the Son of Man. We created that sun inside. We haven't moved it. It has chosen, we have holes on the roof, on the ceiling, and what you get. The energy inside the system does not have the matter state and the failures of the system. And you always see the blue light still on. This is what we give you, not this. You want this, plug it in. You don't have this, you run out of energy. Throw it away. When you buy systems that will not rely on material state energy electron movement, and you work on a plasma technology, this is what you get. Very interesting thoughts. We always said that the bigger field gives to the smaller. Now we see the light, the sun itself, and we have a sun inside which is weaker. Has the energy of the universe and the sun connected to this, and me standing in between receive the energy which is transferred to this planet directly between the two? In a way, I get charged with it, I get evolved, my soul lights up, receiving the energy, being in between the two. The answer is yes. And now, do you need that battery? Or do we need State of Belgium to decide nobody should know about it till we get our hands on it because we need more children for our pedophile kingdom? The answer is very simple. My name, my technology will last long, long after the pedophile kingdom of Belgium. And long after Fox is in control of news, which they're controlled by the same people. Now, your second question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe. The second question is, let's say a country in Africa, let's call it country X, and a country in South America, Y, and Z in Asia, opens their eyes and accept this technology. Could you please explain briefly what it would take to transfer this technology to a country that actually spreads it within all its borders for the benefit of its citizenry?
Chinese are doing it. The Iranian government is doing it. Why the others hiding from it? The Chinese you've seen. This is what I've shown this before. We didn't go to do this. We didn't go out to put these things up. This comes to us from new knowledge seekers, which are around the world, and you send us pictures from what you see or what is being sent to you. Let me find it for you, and then you understand. This is what you are blinded with by the Belgians, and this is what Chinese do with the Keshe Foundation in China. I have to find it, then I can share it, then you understand. Nations are using it the way it suits them, and where it suits them, the way it suits them, and how they can benefit by it. There's a picture. I'm sure the Chinese guys in the background will get to it before I do, but I have it somewhere here. Then you understand government use the Keshe Foundation technology as it suits them, very suits them, and what it suits their nationals. It's a beautiful single picture. I have to find it. Usually see it very rapidly, but as usual, it's Keshe Foundation. You need to wait. The gases need to grow. I'll find it, I'll show it to you. There we are. This is how government use us when it suits them. Chinese, high street, billboards, and that's what it is. It suits the Chinese government and Chinese authorities and whatever to put Mehran Tavakoli Keshe, show how it changes for them on the streets. You know the story of the pheasant? Pheasant, when it's a snow time, to find food, puts his head under the snow and his backside up, and he thinks, just because my head is under, nobody can see me. And that's how the man shoots a pheasant, with his back up. Just because he thinks he can't see or is hidden, doesn't mean the hunter cannot. And this is exactly what the Belgians done with you. They thought they can bring whatever to hide it, that they can control it, but the Chinese are using it extensively. As I said, go back on a history, very recent history past. You remember, I said that, and the members of the European community governments are online, they can check that. If you remember, till a couple of years ago, North Korea was very rapidly developing all weapon technology. All. Because the Belgian, Mr. Braconier, was selling European, what we call systems, rocket systems, through the private accounts of the king to the North Koreans. When we exposed the hand, we see no more from North Korea, because no more gives information to Mr. Braconier to pass on to sell. And the biggest nuclear threat to the Chinese government and everything else has stopped. The way nations have used the knowledge to create mayhem for each other by certain people, which suits them in the private bank. And so your governments know. It's just, who do they want to implement it? Or they go back on everything else. Doesn't matter to you if you have one of these energy systems and one of these gas systems in the house, you don't pay any electricity, you don't pay anything for the rest of your life, and you can give the unit back to your children and your great-grandchildren. This is the very first time, it still works. Doesn't matter if the Russians boycott the gas or the Americans decide not to send food. The governments know about the technology very well, because don't forget, 75% of all population governments collected the key and they studied the key. And this is what will come to us in a very near time, near future, in how we apply the technology for ourselves. This camera is too close. Can you pull it back? Please shorten the screen. Any other question?
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe, for your excellent responses and for bringing this wonderful technology. And I wish to call upon governments across the world, and especially those in Africa or African countries, to accept this wonderful technology that will bring self-reliance, massive development, and save lives across your borders. The technology is here, it's cheap. Why are we so afraid of things that work? And only so
No, we are not afraid. We are not afraid. It's not afraid. It's the bank accounts of how it's paid, who gets paid. We are hoping maybe by close of business today, before we finish, or we put a very special, what I call the fourth blueprint to make announcements about the Keshe Foundation and evolution of this technology around the world. We have given the counterparts, which is with us still today, to complete and respond. And then we explain to you exactly where we are and how we work as one nation to bring that position in the right condition. We have given them time till today, close of business. Otherwise, we'll come to you, then you know how and why. Any other questions?
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Keshe. Godspeed.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. This is Dimitri. Thank you so much. Dimitri.
Yeah, from?
Thank you so much for everything. My question is, when is this planet going to see the end of pedophilia?
I don't know, but it has become a fashion by the nation. You see, when one can get away with it, the others do. In the holy books, the punishment is not there for you that you're going to get it. It's a deterrent that you don't do it to get it. It's not that if you do it, you get punished. It's for you not to do it to get punished. If United Nations puts the sanctions is put on Iran for knowledge and technology, on the states like Belgium for pedophilia, do you think it would have lasted that long? No. Because, as I said to one of the EU people very recently, are all the members of European Parliament pedophiles? If it's there, you all know United Nations puts it on the head of the nations of pedophilia. Why you put your headquarters in there? Is there a kindergarten underneath of the EU headquarters? How come we get punished for knowledge, advanced knowledge, which they don't have, but we don't get punished for abuse of children? This is the question which is not answered and cannot be answered. You, as European citizens, write to your members of parliament, stated the fact. This is the United Nations headquarters report on one of the most nations involved in this child abuse. And why are you going there for your children? How come you don't go to Iran and learn technology, but you go there to have headquarters and go there all the time? And then we have a headquarters in Strasbourg. French are safe. But this is something that has to come in line with the governments. And don't forget, the biggest pedophile in the whole structure for over 50 years, unknown to all of us, is the one who's been writing to all the governments, delivering papers from my work that I'm a spy for Israel. Did the Iranian government ask, Madam, can you bring your pedophile cases and prison sentences for pedophilia in the state of Belgium? Nope. Going to prison, being in custody for years, for active, being part of the active cell and all the cell going to prison for years, which none of you knew, we didn't know, we just realized it during the process of investigation. Now you understand how we've been vulnerable to all these things. And it says, why Keshe Foundation is always involved? And it's a ramp. We didn't get involved. The oldest court case pedophile group was in-house. Prison sentences, documents in the police station. There is no allegation. The whole family. We are glad we are rid of the Belgians. At least my children are safe. I don't know about the one I lost. Go and check the documents in the archives of the courts, in the archives of the police stations in the Belgium and the others, and then you understand why and how we've been targeted without knowing. Long-term prison sentences. Now the Iranian government believed these people, and you can believe the rest. It's for you to investigate, not us. We have all the documents. We know what we're talking about. So it's not going to end unless the humanity, the soul of the man changes. The way you come here and you go through the system and the pains goes, maybe putting these people through the system, the soul grows from the dimension of physicality, of emotion of a child. And then you understand how Belgian king and royal family, which are heavily involved in this job, were so closely tracking the Keshe Foundation because they had their oldest agent in the system. I wish for an elevation of their souls. Don't take my word. Go and check. There is no allegation. These are the truth sitting within the courts of Belgium, within the newspapers of the Belgium, and sentences passed and prison sentence served. And it's still undercover monitored because they're too much involved. Any other question?
Okay, we have a hand up from Alexander. Go ahead if you can open your microphone, please.
Alexandre, Brasil.
Oh, we need
Portuguese or?
Portuguese. Portuguese.
I think we have Rafael here for that.
Yeah.
Hello. Oi, Alexandre. Por favor, pode falar.
Ok. Bom dia, senhor Mr. Keshe. Bom dia a todos. Obrigado pela oportunidade. Eu gostaria de saber se existe alguma atividade sendo já desenvolvida para que o Brasil possa usar essa tecnologia. E, posteriormente, eu tenho uma segunda pergunta, se me permitir, claro.
Ok, só um segundo. So, Alexandre, say first, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. So my first question, I have two questions. My first question is, there is any activity for Brazil to use this technology?
Yes, called Rafael and the Brazilian knowledge seekers. You got one of the most active knowledge seeker teams on this planet because we monitor some 32 languages and what we call teams. And by God, every day, sometimes it goes a couple of thousand, 1,000 communication in one day. You're very active. And you have a beautiful team with Rafael and the rest of the Keshe Foundation knowledge in Brazil. You have a beautiful country and you have a beautiful knowledge seekers. So what else do you want? It's you to do it.
Posso fazer a segunda pergunta?
Sim, Alexandre, por favor.
A minha segunda pergunta como foi explicado pelo Sr. Keshe, nós teríamos a apresentação do carro que estaria flutuando com a tecnologia, né, sem a parte gravitacional. Existe alguma previsão de novamente colocar esse projeto de volta? Obrigado.
So the second question of Alexandre is, you are going to show the flying car some time ago. So there are any forecasts for you to show again this car?
Oh, that's obsolete. We're flying your souls. What do you want a car for? You still want to take 2 hours to get from one place to another when you can do it in 2 seconds? Yes, it will be shown. It'll be done. It's part of the joy of the system. Yes. But we are not in a hurry because to me, I would like to leave the donkey behind and go with the jumbo jet.
Ok. Muito obrigado, então, senhor Keshe. Obrigado, Rick. Obrigado, Rafael. E obrigado a todos. Bom dia a todos.
Bom dia. There are structures at force for us to, in a way, you have enough rattling. I'm moving my microphone to fix it. We are in a process which is important for all of us. And I explained to you, we are hoping in the next few days, we'll come to some sort of consensus between the Americans and the Iranians and in negotiations where to fly with a system, to travel with a system. Do you mind, Dean, if you put your camera up there? Can you turn it up that far? This one. On those 2 reactors, do you have an angle on it? You don't see it? Are you sure? Try. Yes. Somebody else has got it on. To have, can you see it? Yeah? Can you see them? That's not your picture, is it? Okay, that picture's better. To have these flight systems, which are the part of Iranian space flight system, in the background, the 2, you need nuclear-based material that you can create a rapid, heavy plasma. And at the moment, if you go into the lift and that kind of thing, you still need that. Embedded inside these, when they were tested in Iran, there is some 200 nuclear radiation sources, plus the radiation we created inside. As long as, and we are not giving another excuse what the Belgians did to come to the house and to the lab and confiscate the nuclear sources and put them in a drawer in my lab. We don't get a clearance from IAEA that the Keshe Foundation can endeavor to revive this technology. You are grounded with the physicality of travel. When it comes to feeding you, moving your soul, everything else, creating methane gas, we can use natural radiation sources, which is in the nature. Comes into space flight, you need nuclear plasma technology. These are called nuclear reactors. And I can produce at any time. But I don't give an opportunity again to hooligans like Belgium to bring this technology to a halt once now with the health side and with the space side. You are all dying of diseases which are curable. You're dying, you're suffering from the pains in your physicality, which should not be there. And it's all is in my palm. You keep a nation of the hooligans, you pay for it, you suffer with it. I have given the knowledge free, but I cannot do any more for you. The same, your flying car, your UFOs, your flying system from Beijing to Tehran or whatever is on hold till IEA and Americans and others accept that this new plasma technology in nuclear has to come into play. We have no choice if you want to go that way. And in a way, it's very good because now, instead of going the physical matter state, we are going very fast in the plasma and the energy state. So it's a very good stoppage that we don't go because then you get distracted by it. You go from city of Brasilia to New York, go to the airport, get from your wherever you are to there to go to fly and everything, take you maybe half a day. John did from Argentina to come to the conference in Brazil, I think 2 days, or use the new knowledge and do it in second. So it's good in a way, but if you want to have a flying car, if you want to have a flight system, IAEA has to produce a certificate for the Keshe Foundation to be able to use nuclear plasma technology that it can move physicality. Then we are done. You'll have your car tomorrow. If we could get to the soul of so many of you yesterday on a telephone line through our system, which you've never done yourself, you cannot do it unless you have the remote control from here. So you see how hard it is. You have to live with the physicality. Rick, would you like to tell us what happened yesterday after I left? Or would you like to tell us what happened in your workshop?
Well, when you came in and directed things to some degree, you sort of interviewed different people in the workshop and got their experience of the what you offered, and that was quite revealing. And different people had different responses, of course, but some similarities as well. And for example, there was a feeling of fields and a feeling of sort of a bubble around some people that talked about their experience. You see, after you left, I don't think we carried on too much longer. We got into some of Brigid's images and kind of went off on a different tangent, but very appreciative of your intervention there, you could call it. And it was a beautiful experience, and I think we should experiment more in those ways. There's a question, for example, in the Q&A here from Alexandra from Brazil. Are the people who have had contact with this new system in a closer way going to experience any physical, emotional, psychological, intellectual, and behavioral changes? What transformations can this system bring to people?
From the people if I can answer it, from the people who've been through the system, we have about nearly 100 people gone through the system up to now. With a few we have spoken, they tell us, yes, they have changes in physicality, they have changes in emotion, they have changes in behavior, they have changes in eating. As I said yesterday, and people who came here this week, now that we know what happens, your journey starts from the time you leave this place. We just, in a way, sell you the ticket. You carry the rest of it. And the changes are fundamental for some of the people. We had a lady here on Tuesday in a helping wheel, what do you call it, frame. And she came in with a lot of back pain and everything else. We wanted to see how we can, she wanted, apparently for what I understood, wanted to see one of her relatives. But when she came out of the system, says, I can move. I can do this or I can change that. We have this a lot. A lot of people report to us changes in their habits. They don't fight with each other anymore. Somebody says, I'm more calm. I don't get angry anymore. These are the things we bring all these 100 people or so now together in the next couple of weeks to assess the after process. What happened then? And then see what happens. And then see what is interesting. One of the interesting things for me is the lady which went through the process after she met Christ, bless his name, in a physical dimension. I want to know what happened to her. What was that? What's the next? What contract she's made? What is there that it brings us knowledge? We have a very direct, detailed explanation of his dressing. The color of hair, the eye, as I said, the feature, the voice. And the interesting thing is, we didn't have this till this Tuesday, because these are certain questions. It's like wherever you come out, you look to you very friendly, but it's like a questionnaire. We have to tick everything. We set the new systems we changed the system as of Tuesday, because last week we had no work here, the presentation, what you call testing, but the development of the new technology has gone on. And this is a question we ask from many people from the beginning. Did you smell anything? Did you have any emotional? The new system gone in since yesterday, Tuesday. People now tells us they can smell. A lady was telling us she can smell the water of the bath. And they can smell what we call the environment there. It means in the process of perfecting the system, now we have covered the emotion of a smell, which wasn't there till last week. So as we're progressing, we're adding to the knowledge. Now, the smell is part of it. Many people come in through the system, they cry. We ask them, they say, we don't know. It's just the tear, just wet tears comes. I sometimes come out and get what they call a tissue paper for them. And they don't even know why they're crying. But I know why, because the trip is with the soul and the physicality is inside, sees the emotion and it reacts. Physicality reacts within the dimension of envelope of the soul, and they just are in tears. As a guy said when you came and you told us this, it's like a fog inside. It's a fog. I can hear you, but it's like a fog, like being in the water and hearing your voice. I said, yes, because your soul has covered you. You still listen to my physicality. In the time of dream now, the soul goes out and coming and going information. You gather some of it, you call it a dream. Now you're inside, the soul is doing it without you being involved. So it looks like you're in a whale, as he said. And many people say that. We just heard you said something and we did it. And the strangest thing is, it was important for us in the trials. What happened if we move one person from one unit to another and vice versa? And we could do this for the first time this week. We switch people from one unit to another because they're slightly different. And they could carry on with the same dream. So they could carry on with the same, what you call a dream, but what we call the process of the soul being in work, talking to mother. I asked them, can you move? They go to them, we carry on speaking to mother. Because the environment of the room is a shell. They're part of it. But it's important for us because now it shows we can do the transmutation easily. This was a key point for us, to be able to take people to move chairs from one unit to another and carry on. So now we are ready to do the transmutation because we keep the environment of the room as it is. We keep the inverted system as it is. The two systems are connected. It should be a flip of a finger very soon to transmute, put you in chair number 1 system and take you out of chair number 2. And it won't be a magic. As I said last week, the people in the lab have started, they're working on this. Dean, if you can bring it here, that we can transmute you through a system like this. If you don't want to go anywhere and you're going alone, you're welcome with your suitcase. And as I said, I'll put you on one port side of this port and I'll take you out of the other side of the port. And you're used to go to airports and spend 8-10 hours, 18 hours flight. You go into transmutation port and you're there instantly. Don't forget the gift you're taking for you from mom. You can't say, Mom, I forgot. It takes a long time to go back. She says, go back home. It takes you 2 seconds, bring my gift. No more, oh, I forgot to bring you something because I never bought it to bring it now. Says, go back in there, it's 2 seconds. Last time you paid €1,000 to get across, this time it's free.
Mr. Keshe, there's a question regarding the meaning of instantaneous when it comes to soul travel from you, from the live stream. And so he says, can you explain a bit more about the meaning of instantaneous when it comes to soul travel? Using the field of plasma, does distance not exist, or is it just so fast?
It's so fast. People who've been on it. Are there any knowledge seekers online who've been to the system and they took a flight? They can tell you they took actually what we call transmutation. How long did it take you from the time you were told you can go till you got there? Do we have any knowledge seekers in the background who can tell us? Do you see any hands? They do it instantaneously. Pardon?
I was thinking Stefania might be able to help with that, but I'm not sure if she's available. I've opened the microphone, allowed the talking.
If the people online who's been here and did the trip, they can explain. It's instantaneous. And funny thing is, when you listen to some of them, they go and pick up their mom or their dad or their girlfriend, and then together they go somewhere else. And it's instantaneous. Something very strange has happened here in some of the tests is that we had somebody from Nepal, I think, a few weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, a guy came and he said, I went to Nepal and it was so nice. I went there with my girlfriend. I said, how did you? He says, my girlfriend is in Nepal. I went there, I picked her up and we went together wherever they went. And it's strange enough, because that line with Nepal is open in the system, we had a couple here yesterday who actually were born and raised European, but in Nepal. And she said, I could smell the water which passing because there is water has a smell in Nepal. And so it's instantaneous. She said it was there. I was there standing on a bridge with the waters. It's a scenery she knew. She lived in Nepal for 30 years. And so it's there and is instant. You can go and do and see people and go to another position. You don't travel anymore, you go to. And this is the beauty of it. And people come here, the only wish is to see the father or mother or whatever, and they come out with tears and joy that they have managed to ask why and whatever, or do you want to go for a dinner and the rest of it. and they come here to look for answers. We are not here to answer. We are travelers of the space. And as I always say, we provide the aircraft, which is your, what we call it, the craft, not the aircraft, the craft, which is your soul. And as you usually get on the aircrafts, the pilot doesn't care, is not concerned if you are sitting in your chair, you're playing with your child, you're hugging your lover, you're planning to go, once you arrive at that point of ascension, to somewhere else. His objective is to get you there. So the dreaming and physically doing things is your job. And this is the same as what we do. We are not there to influence your mindset. We are there to create a new transportation system. And we're getting there.
Stefania had mentioned in the chat, every time Mr. Keshe talks about the flight system, the feeling of being in the system in my body comes back instantly. So it's a form of instant communication, I think.
Yep. Any other question?
Well, we have a number of hands
Yes.
up here. Go ahead, Marinus.
I'm sorry. Hello. Good day, Mr. Keshe. Good day, everybody else. I'm so happy that you are showing, and the team with you, whatever you have always said for years and years. And that is something, as I said in Tuesday, as when I listened to your past interviews of 2011 or 13, 14, and every time you had the same discourse, you were talking about the same things, the same creations, the same logic. And that's extraordinary, because sometimes we are septic people around us. And so everything you do is being examined. And that's wonderful. And I congratulate all of us, humanity and above, for having you. And now the knowledge seeker can develop all that for the betterment of life of everybody. And I thank you for your having a look on the children, which are the weakest of the society these days, which are not realized as their rights for life. And that I know that cost you very much. That has cost you all you have had, and you're still there, and we are proud of you. I think a lot of us and will in future be proud of you. Thank you very much. I have no words to thank you. What I was going to say that I wrote on the chat about the technique for firefighters is if there's anything, because there is forest fires in summer with this dryness of the woods in here. Everywhere soon will start. And I'm as you know, I'm emotional, and I feel very sad about these trees, which take very long time to come back, and they cannot save themselves. It's us to save them, and the side effects on future. So with the actual, okay, is there anything to the point of utilization at this moment? Because we know about the CO2 gas for fire, but is there anything that we can suggest to others, to anybody around us, or maybe the mayors or authorities, or anybody who wants to listen to? Is there anything to offer to them at this moment?
Yes, but we have to actually deliver it, to show it, and this is part of the future teachings. that we show this, how it's used for fire and how it will stand the course of what we call the annual fires. These fires are needed. We cannot, just because we doesn't suit us, trying to change the course. Some of the fires, I know it costs heavy, but is part of the cycle of the life on this planet. It brings new life, it cleans the past, but it brings a new cycle of the motion within the structure of the planet. Some fires are accidental, but natural fires we see is part of the life of this planet. We try to interfere with it, we'll pay heavily for it. We have built our homes in the path of the woods. The woods didn't come to make their homes in our path. The way we get diseases and we die, the way we get earthquakes and happens to our cities, the life cycle of the plants, trees, grown in certain areas are there to create conditions of survival for this planet. This is something we have to accept. Then we see not all fires are bad. We build our homes in where they decided to be and how to regenerate. So if it comes to house fire, if it comes to other things, accident, yes, there is the system technology is going to be delivered. We are doing something in the background that once it takes shape, fundamentally changes everything around the foundation. And how the technologies will be delivered, how fast we do things, and speeding up the delivery. But just bear with us, as you said, what I said in 2011, 2012, still now shows its validity. Give me a few more days and weeks till we deliver the other side. It needs to be done. We have invested a lot of time and finance on it. You knowledge seekers helped us a little bit in past 2 or 3 months to bring that into closer to reality. And that's what it is. They would not do it for us. We have to do it for ourselves. And to do that for ourselves, I set out a new course for Keshe Foundation about 8-9 months ago. I set out to bring a new change in a way to set up a new structure for one nation, one planet. And I have instructed our team to transfer all my assets, which is in my name, to the Keshe Foundation. The process of transferring the assets of the foundation back to has started. So this is part of the same course. Keshe Foundation Austria, share an asset holding in Markray, other assets held in my name on trust of the Keshe Foundation. I started the process of transferring back to foundation, which means I carry no assets, even though I stay as a trustee. And in that process, we have started the process of one nation. And gradually need to set up the Universal Council structure as an entity and the Earth Council's entity and bring them to manage. And you have the heads of the Keshe Foundation, 2 beautiful women there, to make sure everything gets through in a slow process. And then you have the backbone for what I call national assets of the Keshe Foundation, which will be equally responsible by all the Universal Council members to see. One Universal Council member cannot say, I want this in my country. We want it for the whole planet. How we plan it? What's the best efficient way for all of us to have it? It's not lobbying for factories and research centers. It's lobbying for all of us to benefit by it. And as I said, the transfer of the assets of the Keshe Foundation to which I've been a trustee for a long time, has started, is taking shape. And soon, you as knowledge seekers have to start taking charge. How you want things to be done. And then if agrees with what foundation has, will be transferred to reality. All the what you call companies, all the factories, all the assets in names and organizations, which are built up through past years, now is officially getting transferred back to the foundation. And as I said, I stay as a trustee. Till in the future, I'm sure the two heads of the Keshe Foundation, the two ladies, will become the trustees, hopefully, and then it goes on to the next generation. And then we have to structure a one nation government through assets of the knowledge, what we get as knowledge, and then what we go to the next step as a knowledge. I came with nothing, and I'll go with nothing, because I have everything which I want in the universe. It's you humans who are attached so much. But I don't live a life of poverty and slavery just for others to be a hermit. I live the life of pleasure because I have everything I need. I created everything for you to have the same life. So you better learn from me to live the beautiful life and not to live the life of the past, to be suffering because you want to serve. With the pleasure, you serve much better than with the slavery.
Thank you very much. Just one question about the same way about the floods. Like, I used to hear about the floods in Bangladesh at the time, and I'm happy we have a good teacher in Bengali language, and very proud of. What about these floods? Now it's in...
They are needed again. See where the flood is. See how Bangladesh was divided. Bangladesh is a back end of Central Asia, which all the waters from the top comes and it goes into the Indian Ocean. And it was India. And India, when it was India, they had the same problem. It's a cycle of their life. You hear about the, what do you call it, the floods in Bangladesh nowadays. I remember in 1990s, we were in our business working heavily with Bangladesh because it was mainly cheap labor more than anything else, and it was easier to do things there. And I remember there was this massive flood. Go and check it on night. It was in news. And after the flood, we got our containers back. I've never seen so many cockroaches of different colors and shapes and sizes in our containers, which the containers were in the port when the flood came, and it was there and it literally cooked everything. Whatever was seed in the clothing with the cottons we bought, it became animal in that container with the temperature and the moisture. And these floods have been there for years. And I saw it firsthand, the results of it when we received our goods. And so it's needed. It brings life to that part of the world. And mankind should move from these places. Or would we come to the time, as our friend said, I want a floating car, can we make a floating houses that in time of these things, they move somewhere else, and when it's finished, come back in. They go to North Africa. They go up 200-300 kilometers further up with a new system. Maybe we don't need to become refugees and flood up. We just go to somewhere nice and new, and when the flood's over, we go back home. There's got a lot of changes with new technology. I can see the life of the man by mid this century will not be the way we know it today with this technology. No way. It cannot be.
Thank you very much, sir. It was an honor to be talking to you indirectly. And thank you, Rick, and everybody in the background. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we have Christopher, or it's Christoph. Microphone is still open. Hello,
Can
go
you
ahead.
understand me?
Yes.
Hello. Hello, hello.
Yes, we hear you. Can you hear us?
Can you understand me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Hello, Rick. Hello, Rick.
Yes, hi. Hello.
Hello, Rick. Can I speak in German, please?
We have translate.
And translate by you.
Just one second. Have Andreas there. Can we bring Andreas up, please?
He'll have to end his German translation room, and
Good.
Maybe there's somebody else who can do German.
Firstly, thank
Here's
you
Dirk.
very much, Mr. Keshe.
Dirk can do that.
From begin, I am by you, and I have a question, but this is very difficult to do.
Try it. Sag es in Deutsch. Say it in German.
Firstly, thank you, Keshe. Thank you, Mr. Rick. Thank you, and Andreas for translate, and Klaus Piller. Ich bin von Anfang an bei Ihnen.
I've been there from the very
Bin
first
ich der
time.
Beste ich habe viel mitgemacht, aber ich habe nicht viel erreicht.
I tried a lot, but I didn't accomplish a lot.
Aber meine Frage ist folgende. Sie hatten sehr, sehr großen Erfolg in Fukushima.
You had very big success in Fukushima.
Für die Zukunft haben wir sehr große Probleme mit Atomenergieversorgung.
Wir haben schon eine Lösung. Herr Keshe hat das
Da Sie
vorgestellt,
also großen Erfolg hatten bei der Eliminierung von Atombestrahlung. Herr Keshe, gibt es Möglichkeiten, diese Verstrahlung bei den Atomkraftwerken so zu eliminieren,
there is a possibility, Mr. Keshe,
als Abfallprodukte natürlich, dass es für die Leute, für die Menschen in den Orten, wo neue geplant würden, möglich wäre, dass die Leute weniger Angst haben müssten wegen dem Abfall.
Darf ich die Frage kurz auf Deutsch beantworten und dann auf Englisch übersetzen?
Eine Bewilligung für eine neue Anlage leichter zugeben könnten.
So his question is there a possibility that the foundation has a device to
Das wäre meine Frage und vielen, vielen herzlichen Dank für Ihre riesengroße Arbeit.
So is there a possibility of the foundation to protect nuclear plants? And Mr. Keshe already said that we have the possibility of a generator which builds a plasma field around the atomic plant. So even if a nuclear explosion comes away, like in Fukushima or Chernobyl, the plant will be protected and no radiation will come out. As far
This
as I remember.
technology exists, and I developed it in 1980s. The structure of a thought to do it came early that time, and it is part of the development which over years I have brought into what we call being able to do so. And it can be done. I know Germany is made the decision to move out of nuclear industry in some ways, but yes, knowledge is there and technology is there to do it.
So weitere Fragen? Do you have any more questions? Okay.
Vielen, vielen Dank. Das war alles, was ich wissen wollte.
That was all I wanted to know. Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much. You got to remember, I've got to explain, I don't know if you remember, I'll explain. Queen Mary College, University of London, has been one of the very few universities with its own nuclear reactor. But at the beginning of the nuclear industry, there was not much knowledge about the dangers of the nuclear reactors. If you go to Mile End, where Queen Mary College is, there used to be a building on a corner of the street of Mile End and the side road which goes right through Queen Mary. And that was a nuclear engineering department. In the basement, there was the whole building was built on a hole of about 12 meters deep. And we had a floor on the ground, and then we had a huge basement where the first prototype nuclear reactors for research, more or less in the Western world, was built. And then they realized that this nuclear reactor is literally in the center of London, but nobody knew, except the university people, graduates like us, and the government. So what happened was that this is Mile End Road, where the university is. You have a road which comes up it, and in this corner, you had nuclear, and here you have the unions of the university, the union, and the rest of the buildings. This was here in the basement of Nuclear Center. This was moved a year, 2 years before I became a student. And what they did, they moved it up the road. Those of you who know London call it the Bow. They say if you hear the bells of the Bow, you're a real Londoner, because it goes back to the time. And here, just by Bow, there's a very small river which comes into Thames River. And the university and the government decided to move the reactor to this side. And so we used to have a minibus going in and coming on a regular basis. And this was my second home as a becoming nuclear reactor scientist, as one of the only ones in Queen Mary College for some years. I had a lot of freedom. And my final thesis was the radiation leakage out of this site. And I proved in my thesis that if this is the nuclear reactor site, the fields, what they thought when the reactor was centered here, will be contained in this dome. With testing, changing nuclear fuel rods, and proving, we showed actually the peak was sitting outside the nuclear reactor. People outside were receiving more radiation than actually the scientists inside. I submitted this in June 1981, and immediately with the same instruction, immediately by beginning of 1982, the site was closed down. And doing this test, one of my main concerns was at that time that what happened if this reactor exploded and how we can hold it in. And that time, the conclusion of the research, which was submitted to Queen Mary College and was submitted to British nuclear government authorities, was that the explosion will reach beyond into center of London and passing West Ham and the other side, and it goes Liverpool Street, the banking system, this is what they call a stock exchange, and it was decided rapidly they cannot take a risk. That critical test to show that the peak of the nuclear radiation was outside than inside was critical. And I decided at time what happens, how we do it if it happens. It was no use putting, as we did in Chernobyl, blankets on it. It was holding it in. And I set out to develop a technology that pulls the radiation inside. And the easy way of it is, the technology we know now is embedding below the housing of the nuclear reactors a massive gravity system, which has radiation capability spectrum. which means anything which does will go back inside. And this, due to transfer of number of what we call other reactors around the site, will be spread and controlled. This is the only way we know at the moment we can contain nuclear reactors explosion, where we centralize it, pull it in, and as we have, like the way the stronger feeds the smallest, we spread it around and literally becomes a satellite system. This is available. It costs not much. It's just that you drill a bigger hole in the ground. When you're digging, you go a few meters deeper, you find, if this is your reactor, you go somewhere deeper, and then you set your reactor inside it. Any explosion like Chernobyl, where radiation will go inside, you get debris, no problem. But nuclear field radiation, even as debris, will be centralized. And then if you look at the other angle of it, this is your basement. You create number of reactors around the site, so you spread the energy and you control it. Because in going and spreading, the fields will be given to the environment within the ground floor below, which already buried. You have no contamination. We know this technology. If you were in a oil business before Iraq-Kuwaiti war, a lot of you know that there were 2 or 3 very rich American companies. If you had an oil explosion on an oil well, what they used to do, you had an oil well here and you had a fire you couldn't control. The Americans come, sit like 500 meters away, drill a hole, and then close the tap, the oil well to it. And then they used to control it. Now we can do the same thing. Even the present nuclear reactors go underneath a concrete base and build this to do it. And you know what happened with this? Nowadays, this is obsolete as a joke, what the Americans do, because when Saddam Hussein came and he blew all the oil wells of the Kuwait, the Americans invited everybody because it was about 400 or 500 on burning and they couldn't control it. It would have taken 6 months for each one of these to be done. A beautiful Romanian company came with 2 jet engine. The whole thing was to stop the wire. They put the reverse of the, what do you call it, the jet engine on it, and they start literally cleaning up by just blowing up the fire out, and the rest was capping it. And they're paying millions to the Americans to do this. They collected all the millions and they went back to Romania. So it's in the same basis. We dig even the present nuclear reactors. We go to the below concrete base where the reactor is and establish drill holes around the reactor and do the job. Any other question?
Yes, I want to, because this is a knowledge seeker workshop, I want to give some knowledge for all the knowledge seekers for the seed of the problems of the mess of this on this planet right now. And I know you're speaking Farsi, so in English there is one extremely important word missing, and in Farsi it's called mafak, but not purus. You know mafak, Mr. Keshe?
What?
Mafak, it's called in Farsi, as far as I understood it from a guy here. Mafak, yeah.
Mafak means succeed.
Yeah, in English it's succeed or well done, but it's a big difference of mafak than to do it well or to succeed.
To succeed.
Yeah, but
it's an achievement if the word of it you translate it.
And you think a word and then you say it and then you do it. And when this word is missing, you cannot do it. So this is the reason why so much mess is going on this planet, first by the Englishmen and then by the Americans on this planet right now. That's what I want to give knowledge to all the knowledge seekers.
Yeah, but it's been all of us in different time, different countries, different rulers have brought different mess. And we all live in part of the results of centuries of abuse of each other. Any other question, please? The beauty about today was the introduction of the methane gas and the control of what we call plasma technology for energy. And this is what we came here today. And that's why I call it a blueprint. Other things we talk about is a sideline to what is actually a blueprint today. This machine. This machine, in its simplicity, will change the structure of the energy construction, energy use, supply, control of nations by the others. And I think we still can show, Klaus, would you like to measure again for a third time that the thing still works? We can increase the, what we call the gas production, but it's too dangerous, it's methane. We can show you the test. We had a fire, backfire into the tank in, pardon? Okay, the system's covered. We tested in one of our tests. Am I allowed to show that, Klaus? You don't mind? The burning? I can show anything. Okay, no problem. We show you, this is why we don't want to put the ignition on this, because on a test during the weekend, we had the backfiring of the methane into the system. And for that reason, we preferred not to, because it left the marks in our, what do you call, system. Just let me transfer it. And then I share it with you. You can see the pipe is totally black. And we don't want to have these incidents here because it's critical to understand what we do. You can see the pipe totally black inside. We have tested it, it burns, and it's just to be safe, we do not open it here. And in the background, if you can see another horizontal enhancement unit is getting assembled, is on the table of production. This is our lab in Austria. So the system actually burns. It does say what it does, do what it says. Would you like to? Can you zoom on it? Can you see it? You have to change your camera. You're on the wrong camera. No. Okay, you're sitting there, you can go. You see it's a no gas, no, what do you call, methane. Oh, you saw the blow. It goes even up to 4. But limit time, it goes up to 3. It just calls on demand. It's good. If we leave it, it'll become a massive production. You can produce, this is a continuous production, so it's not one-off calls.
We had a question from Antonio in the Q&A. Thank you for the release of the gas system. My question is, how long will it take to fill a normal size gas bottle in our car?
You don't need to fill up. That's the old fashion. Now your system is your gas bottle. The system is set. You call upon it as you need it. You saw it with the test in Tehran. When they stopped burning, the bubble became faster. If you can pick that picture frame from Tehran, you see it. Thank you very much. You want to close it before? We can increase the production, but we are in a confined space in the exhibition. And as part of our lease agreement, we cannot do anything with the fire here. Get against the regulation. But we showed you the burnout in the lab over the weekend. Any other question, or shall we call it a day? It was a nice presentation.
I just want to announce that I just started a website called billiggas.org, which means cheapgas.org, which directly points to the gas enhancement generator, so that everybody can read it in German, English, Italian, and French.
Thank you very much. Any other question?
Maybe Dirk, you can put that link in the chat here so that people can have access to that.
Yeah, I will do that now.
Maybe we can address a question from Jefferson here. It's kind of important. It says, my name is Jefferson Modesto from Brazil. It's an honor and pleasure for me to be able to be here with you. Thank you very much for your presence among us. Here in Brazil, we have difficulty making donations to the Keshe Foundation because PayPal does not accept the use of our currency for international transactions, and many knowledge seekers do not have an international credit card. Could the Keshe Foundation open a bank account here in Brazil?
We have a bank account. Keshe Foundation is a company registered in Brazil. Keshe Foundation is the majority shareholder and is with Rafael. You can make donations to the bank account of the Keshe Foundation, and the funds will be used by Keshe Foundation Brazil for Brazil. The accounts is reported annually to us, so just like the others, like Australian Keshe Foundation and others. If you cannot send money out of the country, Keshe Foundation Brazil is a registered company of the Keshe Foundation. And it's nearly over 2 years, and it has a active work. Donate to your own country bank account, and there's no problem because we get the report from Brazil, and you have trusted man as a trustee of the Keshe Foundation, Rafael, in Brazil. You should have no problem in Brazil to make a donation to the foundation, to the what we call a subsidiary of the Keshe Foundation, which is Keshe Foundation Brazil. Rafael, what's the name of the company? And can you say it in Brazilian, in Portuguese, and release the bank account? Are you there, Rafael? You're translating.
I think he's coming back here. Hello, Rafael.
Hi, Mr. Keshe. Hello.
Okay, could you explain to the where they can make donations and the bank account of the Keshe Foundation in Brazil, please?
Yes, we are arranging with our accounts regarding this because they tell us that since we are a company that's a limited company here, we need to resolve some issues regarding this to receive donations that we are dealing with this. But once we settle this, we will release our bank account so the Brazilian community can donate to our company. Yes, but very soon.
Let me explain to you what the way can do. It's a very easy way to get around it. You sell a pen for a donation for 1 cent. People can pay you €1,000 to buy a pen from Keshe Foundation. You're a company, yeah? You understand? So if you cannot resolve the matter to receive a donation, you sell a pen for a price. People can pay the price of the pen as they like. You understand? Rafael? He's translating.
Sorry, I was translating. Yes,
Yeah.
we have, thank you, Mr. Keshe, for this. And we have even a knowledge seeker here in Brazil that she deals with this part of selling shirts also. And this was an idea that came in our community here to sell a shirt, and people can, and by buying the shirt,
donation, yeah, it's the easiest way is a pen or a shirt. They can say the color run is not my size or whatever, but you make a donation. This is the price you pay so much for the pen.
oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. We are going to organize ourselves for that.
You can trade and just put in there donation, just put one item for sale, and that item is a pen.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe. We're going to organize ourselves for this. Much easier, really, because we're having a lot of problems with this part of the donation here for our company.
Yeah, so. You're a company, trading company, you can sell things. So,
yes.
And say, if you need it to be delivered, please state you pay for the shipping. So a lot of people just pay for a pen, they don't want it to be shipped. You understand?
Yes.
So
yes.
Go ahead. You can pay or pay a PayPal account into, and then your annual account shows what you received through donation. So you're sorted.
Okay. That's perfect. Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You have to remember that you put in there, I buy this pen for the price I want to pay. Any other question?
I know you want to wrap it up here soon, Mr. Keshe, but maybe we'll get more and more person in. Someone I don't think we've heard from before, Saga SS. Let me can you open your mic and go ahead, please? Did you have a question or a comment?
It's a mistake.
It may have been an inadvertent hand, as we say.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Rick. Thank you very much.
Rafael, tá me escutando, Rafael?
Ah,
Alô?
okay. I think we need Rafael once again, perhaps.
Você me escuta, Rafael?
Sim, tô te ouvindo. Yeah, he's from Brazil. I'll translate his question.
Good morning.
Sim, sim. Pode falar sua pergunta, sim. Alô, Saga? Pode fazer sua pergunta. Cannot hear Saga. I think he's having problem with his audio.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, maybe he can get that sorted for next week.
Next time. Thank you very much for coming on.
Oi, Rafael.
We see that bubble.
Eu tenho que abrir alguma outra coisa?
I better stand back. Like him right in your camera. Yeah. There it is. This is a bubble of methane.
Eu não estou escutando nada agora.
Oi, Saga, pode falar agora. I think he's having problem to listen to us. I think he's having some issues in his microphone and audio to listen to.
Audio, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Just let it down. We'll see you next week. Thank you very much for being with us this Thursday. 440 something. And hopefully next week we try to give you something new. Keshe Foundation is working on a technology which creates a clean water, drinking water system. Once it's completed, it will be addition to perfection with the producing water and food from the same water. That bubble is a methane, and it was a myth that the animals have to die, that their body and the gases create oil and gas from the composition. We can see how easily methane is produced in a natural conversion of the plasma fields of the sun into matter state of the gas. Look, another life. Next week, we go back to normal teaching, unless there is something which is about to happen in the Keshe Foundation. We are expecting it. And if completed as expected, we'll let you know. And please understand this one. I want to clear, especially in the Italian community, has caused a lot of misunderstanding. This generator is what is in public here is for demonstration to show that the system produces energy. The generator you buy is for 2 kilowatts energy system and is different than a plasma system, which is supporting to reduce your electricity bill. You can buy both system and interconnect it, or you just buy the generator and it's a generator, because I know a lot of Italians had a problem with it. It will be a very small size, smaller than this refrigerator, and is a 2 kilowatt generation power system that will be delivered. And the big box is just a demonstration to show that it produces power. It's a continuous power production. You can, I think it's been put at 10,000 euro. You have the gas production system, which is now on, and you can order it and purchase it. And we try to get this out as fast as we can. The same with the CO2. CO2 is not for this presentation of today, is primarily for the governments, for the change of the course in Russian gas boycotts. And we use this presentation for government officials to view, to test, and to expand as fast as we can in the coming days. Thank you very much for today. Thanks, Rick, for being there. And you never know, I might have another surprise for you for your next workshop.
We look forward to surprises, Mr. Keshe. Thank you very much.
Thank you indeed.
Thank you for continuing to surprise us, even now, a dozen years later, and many hundreds of workshops, and we still get some beautiful surprises. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy it. I think the best thing is for your knowledge seekers to purchase the gas units as fast and the energy as we can, that we can put it in, the governments can see the change. Then you can invite the press to your house. You can invite the other people to you to see it. And that will bring the whole thing fastly to an end from the hand of the boycotts from the, what you call it, the press. When you use it, it'll go by the mouth up, by the word of the mouth. Thank you very much for today. And hopefully we'll see you next week, or something happened interesting, we'll tell you beforehand.
Okay, terrific. Thank you for another fascinating workshop, Mr. Keshe. And thank you all the knowledge seekers and everyone for attending today. And thanks for your questions and comments. This has been the 443rd Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, July 28th, 2022. We'll see you in the next public teaching workshop in the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace. And let me get the date for that. We'll be into August then. It'll be August 2nd for that workshop. And that starts at 4 p.m. Central European time. And that will be with members of the Universal Council and Earth Council. Okay, I think we'll go out with one of our favorite videos, the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit music version. And once again, thank you all for attending today.